first day of July. Summer really starts to kick into high gear. We're hearing that Paul Heyman has the new job title of Executive Director of Raw. Does that kick in on this Raw? Next week's Raw, after Extreme Rules, SummerSlam, when does that kick in? Nobody really knows. But when the first segment of Raw hit the airwaves, man, it didn't take long for all of us to start thinking the same thing. That's got Paul Heyman's fingers all over it. That's Paul Heyman's blueprint all over it. What am I talking about? We're going to get to that in just a couple of seconds. Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley. Just an epic moment that WWE pretty much beat into an oblivion over the next 3 hours. But still, it was an epic moment, man. A great start to Raw and a pretty damn good finish to Raw with a heel turn that many would say 3 years in the making. And of course, we're talking AJ Styles. We'll get to that in several minutes as well. So you had a good start and a good finish to Raw. The middle was the same old clusterfuck as always. I don't know if Paul Heyman has this entire script. It is evident that he is answering to Vince McMahon, A, and or B, it's clear that they just can't find a way around these no wrestling during commercials, or no commercials during wrestling, I should say. They cannot find a way to integrate that to make it work. There's no integration at all that's running fluently. These commercials are ruining the wrestling. There is no more wrestling. The wrestling is dead on this show. WWE has killed pro wrestling on these wrestling shows. It's dead. Without the commercials during the wrestling itself, during the matches, they're just trying to come up with a million different ways to go to commercial. We are constantly seeing one-on-ones or two-on-twos that end in some weird schmaz after just 2 minutes. There's confusion, and when we come back from break, there's all of a sudden a 6-man tag. Or all of a sudden somebody is taking on somebody else that was near ringside. Or somebody's winning the United States Championship last night after 1 minute, and then they just decide, no, the foot was underneath the rope, let's restart the match. Every week, we're just going to come up with ways to go to commercial 10 times a show. And if you're doing it 10 times, 2 shows a week, then 20 different times every week we have to come up with a different way. You're not going to do such. You're just going to keep up being redundant. You're just going to keep doing the same old fucking 6-man tags, same old, oh, they were by ringside and they caused an interference, let's go to commercial, and when we come back, they'll take on each other, like we saw with Alexa and Carmella, and Nikki Cross and Carmella. Samoa Joe tags up with we'll go over it, guys, but that's my huge concern here. We are in a world of shit if this continues, and it looks like it's going to, until somebody can tell McMahon, Fox, whoever is making this bold decision, and it's bold, and it ain't in a good way, it's bold in a bullshit way. Whoever's making these decisions, it's gotta stop. It has killed the pro wrestling. I'm sick of this no commercial during wrestling bullshit. You can't even, it's ruining the groove. You can't even get a good wrestling match that's 10 minutes long. But I'll get to that. Again, that was the whole middle of the show that we'll have time to get amplified on that. The beginning of this show, Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley, Falls Count Anywhere. 8:05 start time. The end time was 8:09. It was just 5 minutes, but justifiably so. For good reason. It's because they battled through the crowd and eventually got up to the top of the rampway, where I finally got my WWE back. Even if just for a moment, I've waited over 5 years to get a moment, just give me a moment, that I could take me back to my childhood when like Shawn Michaels turned on Marty Jannetty at the barbershop, or when The Undertaker came out of the coffin to attack Hulk Hogan, or when Jake the Snake Roberts bit Macho Man at Superstars of Wrestling with his Cobra Snake. Give me those moments. Finally got that last night, man. Strowman spears Lashley through the LED staging area. Explosions everywhere. That's right. Fucking Pyro was back at the beginning of the Raw show. finally, Raw, the beginning of it, had pyro in a roundabout way. Pyro nonetheless. Corey Graves yells out, holy shit, not censored out, not beeped out, no 7-second delay was utilized. Vince McMahon gave him the go-ahead, gave him the green light to yell out, holy shit. Not at the 10 o'clock hour when it's a little more grown up. No, right at the top of Raw, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, Corey Graves is yelling out, holy shit. At this point, we're all thinking, what the fuck? Is this WWE now? Is this Paul Heyman's blueprint? Is this what we're going to be seeing more of? Nobody knew what to think. And for the next 10 minutes, they let the situation breathe. Loading them on the stretchers, eventually onto the ambulances. But even before that, they just showed the aerial view behind the Tron and all the chaos and all the aftermath from the spear through the LED staging area. And it looked like just a train wreck. And they really pumped it up like this was a severe circumstance and severe situation. And they let the segment breathe over the course of 2 segments in the first 21 to 22 minutes of Raw. I love it. I love when they let stories breathe. Really bring on the emotion. Get feeling and emotion out of us. Don't just go on to the next. Bang, bang, boom. Bang, bang, boom. And before you know it, it's just a chaotic, confusing Monday Night Raw. Let shit breathe. Sometimes quantity takes a backseat to quality. And this is one of those circumstances. Quality needs to override quantity. Give me the quality of the segment. I don't need to see 10 different segments in the first hour. Just give me 2 or 3 really good ones. I'll take the quality over the quantity. And they let this shit breathe, and I loved it. The entire first couple of segments just revolved around Lashley and Braun annihilating one another through the LED staging board. Explosions again, pyro, Corey Graves yelling out, holy shit, there's chaos. They're getting loading into ambulances. They're not moving a muscle. It really was fucking good. Absolutely loved it. Now, WWE beat this thing into the ground, obviously, every which way you could for the next 3 hours. They showed this thing 165 times, but fuck it. At least we got to see that shit. Now, our only hope, at this point, our only hope is, can we keep this going? Can we see some more cool moments? Can we get some more good shit? Don't let that just be it. Unfortunately, for the next few hours, basically the bulk of the show, that was really it. Aside from 1 or 2 other things that I really enjoyed, we had to wait until the end of the show to get another really cool moment. And again, I'll go over that in a little bit. But we gotta kind of go in rhythm here with the I was gonna say in rhythm with the show, but did the show really have a rhythm? Not really. But that was the first couple segments, guys. First 21 to 22 minutes. And again, I was just like, fuck, yes. I waited over 5 years for this shit. Finally, signs of life from this show. We go on to the Viking Raiders versus the New Day. This was only a 4-minute match because Samoa Joe attacks Kofi from behind. A brawl between Samoa Joe and Kofi takes us to commercial. And immediately we're all knowing, not thinking, we're knowing exactly what's happening. A 6-man tag. Holla, 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 playa. When we come back from commercial, you know damn well they just set up a 6-man tag. Sure enough, just when we saw glimpses of Heyman, we then see shadows of that pesky Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Because we get that 6-man we were dreading. Samoa Joe and the Viking Raiders versus the New Day. This was about, 4 or 5 minutes at best. Coquina clutch. Samoa Joe defeats Kofi Kingston, meaning that Samoa Joe and the Viking Raiders defeated the New Day. And again, it was via the Coquina clutch. Samoa Joe pretty much passed out Kofi Kingston. Listen, if you're gonna do this nonsensical bullshit 6-man tag, you better have Samoa Joe coming out looking strong. Because you know damn well he's not winning the title at Extreme Rules. So he better look like the dominant motherfucker. You better put him in a position like he can take out the champion at any time, at any moment. So even though it was bullshit, I like the fact that they made Joe look like the fucking dominant guy here. I just hate that he's gonna lose another big match. And it's the Bray Wyatt syndrome. They can bump these guys up. They can give them good stories once in a blue moon. They can look dominant. They can have great mic skills. They can be a great presence. They can have great in-ring skills. But when it comes time for the big match, guys like Bray Wyatt, guys like Drew McIntyre, guys like Samoa Joe, they're constantly losing. I expect nothing different from Joe at Extreme Rules, and that's sad. Backstage, we had Drake Maverick's wife, and yowie, wowie, speaking of Bray Wyatt, man, Drake Maverick's wife is just an ace personified. What a beautiful woman that is. Great job by fucking Drake, dude. What a catch. Honestly, I mean that. That's not a joke. That's just a beautiful woman. And she's pissed at Drake for taking them to Monday Night Raw for their honeymoon. And she's telling Drake, you're obsessed. You're obsessed with this 24/7 title. And Drake's like, no, this is just a pit stop to our honeymoon, basically. So, Truth appears out of nowhere, and you know Maverick wants that title, but his wife's looking at him like, yeah? Are you here for me, or are you here for that? So Drake's like, I'm not gonna do it, I'm not gonna do it. And Truth just says, what's he say? I'm a sucker for love. He says, don't mind me, I'm just a sucker for love. So he's kind of antagonizing Truth. So you guys know I'm a big fan of this 24/7 title, big fan of Truth, and became a big fan of Drake Maverick because of this title. So this title is actually doing a lot of good. Hour number 2 ends, or no, I'm sorry, we're still hour 1, right? Yeah, hour number 1 ends. We can only be so lucky if this was hour 2 ending already. No, we still have a lot of bullshit to cover. Hour number 1 ends with No Way Jose versus Cesaro. Drake Maverick and his wife at this point are front row. They're gonna catch a quick match or two before they head out on their honeymoon. So they're front row about to enjoy No Way, I don't know if you can enjoy No Way Jose versus Cesaro, but they're going to attempt to. R-Truth comes out as part of the conga line for No Way Jose, and he still is antagonizing Drake Maverick. Drake wants to make a move. You could tell Drake is just getting pissed. He wants to make a move, but his wife is pretty much daring him to do such. Daring him to leave her side and go after Truth. So Maverick is like, nah, ain't gonna happen. Some of the boys storm down from the locker room in pursuit of Truth and his title, and in the process, Cesaro takes out No Way Jose with the neutralizer. So this match never really gets started. It's a no contest. And this is what I mean. You probably would have seen a wrestling match, but Vince knew he had to cut to commercial, so they just did a no contest. Now, I'm not saying No Way Jose and Cesaro was going to be a 5-minute match we would have wanted to see anyway, but it's wrestling. It's better than a no contest, right? Or a match that's supposed to happen and just doesn't? Why would Cesaro jump No Way Jose and give him the neutralizer before the match even starts? That's what I mean. So all of this was really for nothing, other than to antagonize Drake Maverick a bit more. The Street Profits debut next backstage with a weird backstage promo. Just weird. I think they were supposed to come off more funnier like they do in NXT, but this is a whole different beast. You better be on your game on live TV, and you could tell they were a little shook. Even more so later on. They had another promo, and that got even fucking worse. I'll go over that right now. Fuck it. They were singing a fucking song. I forgot. One of those little nursery rhymes from back in the day. And they just forgot the lyrics, this couldn't have been part of the promo, because that would have just been an abomination, whoever approved it. This had to have been just them losing their lines, trying to make up for it, and it was just odd, man. So the whole Street Profits debut, anticlimactic, 110%. That sucks. I really had high hopes for the Street Profits. Hey, maybe in the future they can kind of repackage it, who knows. Hour number 2 begins with Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre. A promo basically calling out The Undertaker. We get old school lightning pyro. That's right, so a little bit more pyro. The old school lightning hits the ring. The lights go out, we get the gong. Here comes The Undertaker. And he makes us wait a little bit too, right? Is he really here? Is he not? Is this going to be fucking him just popping up in the middle of the ring, or is he going to make that long stroll? He made the long stroll eventually, and I'm telling you right now, the mystique is still there. A lot of people are thinking, maybe the mystique is gone. The Undertaker is just done now. He doesn't bring anything anymore. That's false. The Undertaker has just been put in really bad predicaments and situations over the last several months, or should I say last several appearances. But he still has that mystique. You saw that this past Monday Night Raw, man. When he made that stroll, man, you're still at the edge of your seat. You're still like the fucking Undertaker, man. There still is no entrance in the business quite like it. Or even persona like that. So he comes out and Taker claims he's back to collect the souls of Shane and McIntyre, who, by the way, are in the crowd in fear at this point. So I like the way that Taker was talking to them, but they kind of made it a little different. Instead of just being up at the rampway as usual, and the guys talking to the guys up at the rampway from the ring and vice versa, now they're in the crowd. They're scared shitless. Or at least Shane is. He's backing up Drew. Drew kind of wants to get over there, but Shane's like, fuck no. So they're in the crowd, and Taker is delivering his message in the ring to the crowd where Shane and Drew is. So I like the little switch up there. It's those little details that can add a lot to a segment. And that really did. So I really enjoyed The Undertaker last night for Monday Night Raw. Or should I say well, by the time you guys see this, it'll be last night. I'm filming this right after Raw, but... So it's weird saying last night. But I liked it, man. Because the last several appearances by The Undertaker, it was just kind of cringeworthy. And I was kind of like, did he lose that mystique? I was questioning it myself. But it's evident from last night, man. He still has that. You just got to put him in the right situations. It sucks that at Extreme Rules, he's with Roman, so Philadelphia doesn't shit on Roman. That's the truth, guys. That's not throwing shade to Roman. You go back, you can Google, YouTube, research yourself. Philadelphia just doesn't like Roman Reigns. They shit on this guy. So they have to pair him up with somebody like Taker. Lacey Evans defeats Natalya in just a couple of minutes because you gotta get to commercial. This was with help from Baron Corbin, so they're really trying to pump up the team of Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin when they take on Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins at Extreme Rules. So Lacey Evans gets a win over Natalya. Entertaining, invigorating television. Backstage, AJ Styles and Ricochet are face-to-face. Gallows and Anderson are really antagonizing a fight between Ricochet and AJ. They're really playing the back-and-forth middlemen. And finally, Ricochet and AJ Styles get face-to-face, and they smack the shit out of one another. I'm talking smack the yellow off each other's teeth and literally the taste out of their mouth. It was pretty badass. I love seeing them lay into it. These are two consummate professionals. Both from the indie scene. They know what it takes to make a great segment. And they just went for it, man. They brought the energy, the intensity, the amplification in those smacks. Those were beyond Stephanie McMahon-esque. And that little slap, those slaps, they really got me a little more interested to see this rematch from last week. Otherwise, I'd be saying, what the fuck do I need to see this again for? I don't care if a title's on the line or not. It's a fucking rematch. Get more creative. But after seeing those smacks, I was like, fuck, man. Now I need to see a little more between these two. And I was going to have that opportunity later in the night. But first, more bullshit. We get a 2 out of 3 falls match. Miz and Elias. Sound familiar? We just saw that Tuesday on SmackDown. You talk about redundancy, you talk about a rematch. How about just from 5 days ago? And that's what I mean, or 6 days ago. That's what I mean, guys. What's the meaning? What's the purpose? What's the reasoning for it? There is none. Other than this is a perfect match to try to get 3 commercials in, or a couple of commercials in. And that's what they did. Same match as SmackDown Live, almost the same type of scenario. Miz takes fall number 1. And immediately, Elias takes fall number 2. Of course, there's a commercial after fall number 2. Gotta reset. And then fall number 3. This time, Miz actually takes fall number 3 because Elias took a nasty knee shot into the post. You heard that shit from the other side of the country. Back in California, they were hearing that from the Amplified Man's East Coast apartment. But that post shot was only the beginning of the end for Elias because Miz put him back in the ring, got the figure 4 on him. And Elias couldn't hack it, so this time Miz takes the best 2 out of 3. This is obviously setting up for a rubber match. Another 2 out of 3 falls match tomorrow night, I bet, between Miz and Elias on SmackDown Live. Or should I say, by the time you guys see this, it'll be tonight on SmackDown Live. So there's just no reason for it, guys, honestly. Hour number 2 ended with Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins in a backstage interview. Totally cringeworthy. I mean, seeing Becky and Seth together, man, it is just really weird. They're the nerdiest 2 people when they're together. I don't care if that's throwing shade or not. I'm just telling you the truth. Maria and Mike Kanellis come out of nowhere. This was kind of like, okay, we know they signed 5-year deals. For what? Are they just going to have 5 more babies and spend the rest of the 5 years outside of WWE? I mean, that's what they did. They came to WWE. Maria immediately got pregnant and she was gone. Unfortunately, Mike had some issues personally that he had to take care of, but they were pretty much gone when they signed their first contract. Or for Maria coming back to WWE, that contract was like, what the fuck? Where are they? And so now we hear they signed 5-year deals. Mike is doing a lot better. Maria finally had her kid and she's back. And they come back and they get face-to-face with Becky and Seth. And Maria says, how about we have a match tonight? Me and my bitch versus you and your bitch. So she calls Mike Kanellis her bitch. I don't know why I love that. I love that a lot more than I probably should. I mean, it's probably just a normal little zinger, but I just was like, what? Did Maria just say that? And this led into our 3rd hour, the beginning of the 3rd hour. Rollins and Lynch actually defeat the Kanellises. This was odd from the jump. Maria slams Mike mid-match. Like, mid-match, Maria gets on the microphone. The microphone didn't even work for the first 30 seconds. She's smacking this thing. Put it on! Get this thing on! Microphone finally comes on, and she's yelling to Mike. Maria's yelling to her husband. This is sad. You said you could mop the floor with Seth. I should have known better. You can't even mop the floor at the home or the house. So she's basically saying, you're my bitch at home and you can't get the job done. You're my bitch in the ring, you can't get the job done. Mike Kanellis is like the dog to Maria. And then all of a sudden, Becky Lynch goes to get Maria and Maria stops her and says, no, I'm pregnant. And Mike Kanellis is dumbfounded. What? You're pregnant? And Maria says something to Mike like, he's yelling, who's the father? No, who's the father? Oh my God, what did he didn't say that. He said, how did this happen? Wow, I'm putting words in Mike Kanellis' mouth. He said, how did this happen? And Maria yelled back, I don't know, because clearly, I don't know if you're man enough to even do the job or some shit. So she's throwing zingers to Mike during this match. And this allows Becky Lynch to throw Mike Kanellis back in the ring, get the disarmer on Mike Kanellis, and defeat Mike Kanellis. Mike Kanellis is tapping out to Becky Lynch. But I thought it has to be man and man versus, or woman and woman when they're in the ring. I thought they couldn't, but they did say mixed tag match, so I don't know, man. The rules change all the time. I was always under the impression that a woman has to face a woman when they're in there. Unless they changed it for that one fucking match because they wanted Mike Kanellis to do the tap out. Who knows? But Becky disarmers Mike for the W. Maria tells Mike Kanellis after the match, next time I'll just have Becky impregnate me because she's more of a man than you. I don't even know if I'm getting these lines right. This whole thing was like, what the fuck is happening? What? This is like a soap opera within the match, but with characters you just don't want to see in the soap opera. So now we have this weird pregnancy angle between Maria and Mike Kanellis. I don't know, guys. I'm going to shut up about it because I'm getting a weird pain in my side just talking about it and a pain in my dome piece thinking about it. Nikki Cross is up next, a moment of bliss. Carmella interrupts. We get an impromptu match. Mella versus Bliss. This was a 3-second match because we have to get to commercial. Carmella rolls up Alexa Bliss. Carmella wins the match just like that. Commercial. We come back from commercial and sure enough, we have a Nikki Cross versus Carmella impromptu match. Why? Because Nikki Cross was at ringside. Why not? So now Nikki Cross versus Carmella. This lasts 4 minutes and Nikki Cross beats Carmella. You talk about 50-50 booking ruining people. Carmella gets a victory. 4 minutes later, she gets a loss. Awesome job, WWE, caring for your wrestlers and really making sure that they look good. Backstage, Maverick eventually pins R-Truth with the old luggage to the back tactic. Him and his wife are about to leave the arena. They have their luggage. His wife says, I don't know, I'm going to hit the bathroom real quick, or I got to get something, I'll be back. And Maverick is like, cool. All these superstars run by him, obviously in hot pursuit for Truth. Truth was hiding right next to Maverick, basically. Truth comes out, and Maverick's like, listen, I don't even care anymore. I just want to go on my honeymoon and make my wife happy. And Truth is like, all right, man, yeah, you got any water? Drake's like, no, what? So Truth goes to walk away, and Maverick saw his chance. He grabs his luggage right to the back of Truth. Truth drops like a ton of bricks. Maverick's yelling for a referee, pins Truth. Referee comes over, 1, 2, 3. We got a new 24/7 champion, and his name is Drake Maverick. Maverick's wife comes out of nowhere like, are you fucking kidding me? She doesn't say that, but that's how she's looking. And Maverick is like, no, don't worry, honey. This is going to make our honeymoon better, I promise. Now our honeymoon will be 24/7. I love it because now we get to see R-Truth crash Drake Maverick's honeymoon, just like he did the wedding to get the title. So keep your eyes peeled on YouTube or wherever they're going to break this, because he's going to be crashing the honeymoon. So we're probably going to get some entertaining shit, man. I just wish they would do that shit on the air on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. We don't need to see 100 people chasing Truth every Raw and SmackDown. Give us those wedding segments, those golf segments with Jinder Mahal, the honeymoon segments. Give us that on TV. It's entertaining. To end the night, we had the main event, Styles and Ricochet. Again, a rematch from last week, but at least it was built up throughout the night this time. And again, those smacks across each other's mugs, that was fucking badass mean. Those smacks upside their dome pieces had me wanting to see more out of these two. And that's all you could ask. So we got it. Unfortunately, those damn pesky commercials reared their ugly heads once more. And literally in like 2 minutes, Ricochet was pinned by AJ Styles and we had a new US champion. Even though Ricochet's foot was underneath the rope. But you knew what was going to happen. Or another ref was going to come down and say the foot was underneath the rope. We have to go to commercial. And when we come back, we're going to restart the match. So AJ is not the new champ. Sure enough, we went to commercial, we came back, another referee said no, and we restarted the match. That's what I mean. If it's going to be redundancy to the point where we know what's going to happen before it's even done, time after time after time after time after time, then this is going to get old and boring and redundant and bullshit real quick. And it's already all of the above. So we're all in a world of shit if this continues any longer, and it looks like it's going to. But once we restarted the match, they started to show who they are and what they can do in just fucking 9 minutes, because that's what they were given, maybe even fucking 7 or 8. I forgot to actually do the timing on this, but it definitely was not 10 minutes. And when it was all said and done, Ricochet ended up pinning AJ Styles. So a little bit of retribution from last week. And it looked like it was going to go off the air just like last week with a handshake. But if you looked at the time, you still had 4.5 minutes left. So you knew Styles wasn't going to let this go. They did the handshake. Gallows and Anderson get up on the apron like they're going to attack Styles and Ricochet. But Styles ends up decking Ricochet with a cheap shot and starts beating him. And then he looks at Gallows and Anderson, he says, get him. And Gallows and Anderson jump in, and there is a beatdown on Ricochet. I love this because AJ Styles works much better as a heel. He just does. That is a truth. That's a fact. He gets to be a heel again, finally. And he gets to do it while reforming the club with Gallows and Anderson. This does wonders for AJ Styles because he gets to be a heel again. And by the way, he was pretty irrelevant for the past several months. So this works wonders for Styles. But it also works wonders for Gallows and Anderson because they've been irrelevant since they signed with WWE. So you can give me, I already saw a couple people try to tell me, BC, 3 years ago, this is when it needed to happen. Who gives a fuck about 3 years ago? 3 years ago, I should have been fucking banging Kelly from Saved by the Bell. That didn't happen. Maybe 3 years from now, I'll be able to. The point is, who cares 3 years? Yes, there's a lot of things that should have happened 3 years ago. Who the fuck cares? Now, Styles could use this. Now, Gallows and Anderson can use this. So fuck yeah. Fuck your 3 years ago. They need it now too. So fuck yeah. And I love the way they did it against Ricochet. Beating down Ricochet because he's genuinely one of the nicest guys in pro wrestling. One of the most genuinely nice dudes in pro wrestling. So for him to be beaten so viciously by the club, man, if you know what you're talking about in the wrestling business, like the Amplified Man, and you know all the behind the scenes, this was the right circumstances. This was the perfect storm. So for me, Monday Night Raw started epically with Strowman and Lashley going through that LED staging board, and it ended awesomely with the reformation of the heel club and on Ricochet. So the beginning and the end of Raw, A1, man, 2 thumbs up. The middle of Raw was still the same clusterfuck. I like the Undertaker promo, though, staring out at fucking McIntyre and Shane in the crowd and letting that breathe a little bit. And the 24/7 title shit I just thought was fucking beautiful. This sets up the honeymoon now. We get to look forward to that. I mean, I do a lot of shit and running around New York City during the week. So when I'm in a coffee line and I get a message telling me to check out this video and it's fucking Truth crashing a wedding or Truth about to crash a honeymoon and I'm in a fucking 20-person Starbucks line, I'm gonna be entertained for the next couple of minutes. And I love that shit. So yeah, the 24/7 title, the Undertaker promo, letting that breathe a little bit, the beginning of Raw, the ending of Raw, there was signs of life last night, and that was good to see. Coming from last week's tragedy, that was really good to see. There's just that middle part of Raw, and by middle I mean the middle couple of hours that needs to be cleared up. We need to see less redundancy. We need things to make more sense. They need to mean something. And more than anything, the whole no wrestling during commercials bullshit, that has to end. It is ruining the wrestling on this show. The wrestling is non-existent because of it. And it's beginning to take away from what I'm supposed to be watching. Because I'm how do I word this, man? It's weird. I'm anticipating how they're going to commercial, or I'm anticipating the commercial, so I'm anticipating some bullshit up front. Does that make sense? That's the best way to put it. I'm anticipating the commercial, so I know that some bullshit is coming. And sure enough, the bullshit comes. And not only is bullshit coming, but it's like the same thing every show. A guy comes out, a tag team match turns into a six-man tag. Or a guy comes out or a woman comes out in the one-on-one that happens, the match is like 2 minutes, we go to commercial, we come back, and whoever interfered or whoever was by ringside, they end up taking on one of the participants. It's the same shit. We cannot do this show after show, segment after segment, match after match. We're all going to collectively be putting our heads through every cement wall we come across. What the fuck do I know, right? I'm just a wrestling fucking genius. The Amplified Man, guys. You know what to do. Holla at your boy tomorrow morning. We'll be reviewing and giving the reactions to tonight's SmackDown Live. Hopefully that's better than last week's tragedy, too. The Amplified Man. Saying check you.